Welcome to the Improviding Life podcast, where we explore how life can be more livable. This is Lori Crawford, your host. So today's episode, I'm interviewing Felicia Savage Friedman, who's my mentor and the founder and executive for Yoga Roots on Location, which is a yoga school that she's created where it's rooted in anti-racism and social justice and all centered in love. So Felicia is this amazing human. I'm very biased, and so much of my own growth over the past 3 to 4 years was really catalyzed by my relationship with her and being in a relationship with those in her community, right? And so I don't want to go too far into it because I'll take away from the episode. We discuss so much, but this is such a beautiful representation of what it's like to be in community, what to be in right relationship, and how to really be in the presence of life as it's happening. So without further ado, Mercury and I introduce you to this week's episode, Remixing Our Souls with Felicia Savage Friedman.
Do not leave the meeting. Do not leave the meeting. Do you know
I did the meeting? You did before, Miss Felicia?
I was hosting the orientation and I left the meeting 2 times. I was like, Felicia, what are you doing?
I've done that at the grocery store where it's just like, it'll be asking, like, do you accept something on the card? And I just hit the button that my hand goes towards and it's never the right button. And then I'm like, why do you ask that? I put my card in. That means I'm going through with the transaction. Like, don't ask another step that my brain didn't think would be there. Because I assumed the first question is going to be the answer is yes. And it was like the right button. But on their system, no was the right way.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yep. So, and I understand. So that's why I was
oh, you see me too.
Look, listen to that beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to. Yeah, we've all done things like that. And how do we practice grace with ourselves?
Oh, is it rain? I think Maya's getting rained out. It's raining.
Oh, was she on the beach?
She's trying to do stuff outside. Is it raining? Oh, she gets it's raining. She said, I know. Yeah, when they make these laptops waterproof, then they'll be doing something.
I'm sure they already could. They're just like, we like replacing things.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Lori, I'm back.
That's all right. Well, today we have Felicia Savage Friedman. It's very hard for me to not call her Mrs. Felicia, but I'm practicing. I like to start with expressing how I experience people's energy and like what they mean to me, and then ask you to introduce yourself how you would like to be introduced. Okay. And so Felicia is such an expander of life and access to actually living it. The fact that I have a little baby on my head right now playing around is in so many ways possible from being in relationship with Felicia. As it wasn't until yoga teacher training through her yoga teacher school that I started relating with my body and really realizing that my body didn't have to be this thing that I looked at as a thing, right? It's an integral part of me, and that's when healing and acceptance really started. So I think that's the briefest way I can introduce Felicia, but would you love to introduce yourself?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't know. There's nothing that's more important than that, like for real, your relationship with your body, that you were able to hold Mercury and bring her into fruition. That's really powerful through the training experience. I'm Felicia Savage Friedman, she, her, hers, my gender pronouns. Born and raised on Haudenosaunee land in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and now presently in Seminole Creek land, that is now called Boca Raton, Florida. Soaking up as much sun and ocean water as I can. And to being here helps me balance all of the intense work that I do in terms of this self-reflective work. And when I say work, really work on myself, first and foremost, being more humane, and then doing this work out in the world through Yoga Roots on Location, which I am the founder and CEO of, which is an anti-racist Raja Yoga school that really promotes embodied collective liberation for us all. Yeah, I am the mama of Cleveland and Maya Savage. I am the wife of Martin Lee Friedman. And we're all doing this work of looking at ourselves and just being better people with ourselves and in our family. And I'm really proud of that. I am also a writer. So I'm writing 3 books right now. One is about connection, how we're all connected. It's a children's poem. So it's going to be more like a children's book in a way. I'm working with an illustrator from Zambia, which I'm really proud of. And I'm writing 2 other books, hair stories, our hair stories. So it'll be a compilation of 33 people who I admire to tell their story of hair. And then I'm writing my edges, my life, my full on hair story of me coming to be in love and full acceptance of my hair and what that means in the face of oppressive forces. Let's see, what else about me? I think that's, yeah, I opened up a art studio space, so I'll be able to, I'm creating a space separate from home. I'm really excited about that too. And I'll be putting all my artwork online to be seen and hopefully bought by folks. So I'll be putting my healing artwork, because it's been so beautiful to work with, you know, oil paints and oil pastels and do my collages, because it really helps me to be a kinder person to myself as well as others. So it's a healing practice, me doing my artwork. I think that's it, Lori.
Thank you. And I'm really curious, you know, you end with this note of speaking of practices, right? In this point, healing practice. And you're someone who introduced to me the concept of joy practices. So I'm curious on what your relationship with practices in general are, and like, how have you gotten to this point of however practices are sort of self-defined now? Yeah, Mir, and how that fits into you being gentler and kinder to yourself.
Oh, joy practice. Joy practice came to me, oh, I can take it way back. Gentleman I used to work with at the East End Food Co-op in Pittsburgh. His name was Water. That's what he's, you know, self-named himself Water. And he had told me, he said, Felicia, you need to have happiness classes. You need to give happiness classes because that's your thing. You're like, really you're really happy. And so you need to share that. And so that's always stuck with me, Lori. I don't think I've ever told anybody this about Water saying that to me. And my name means happy, and he knew that too, you know. So Felicia means happy. My name now is Felicia Savage Friedman. So I'm a happy savage, you know, and turning savage on its head, like a paradigm shift from what, you know, white colonizers have called indigenous people savages. So really honoring that name. And then my last name is Friedman, which It comes from the Jewish tradition, man of peace. So I'm a happy, savage woman of peace is what I've built. I feel that my name in this iteration, this season of my life is. So I really am trying to live up to it. I was given the spiritual name Santoshi, which meant happy mother. Sant Keshvadas gave me that name, Indian guru, many years ago. And so being happy and joyful is pretty easy for me, but there's, for me, always an underlining sadness though, too, that's ever present. And I think when I say that I'm living my most incredible life right now, Lori, and true, the external is really good. So being able to wake up and see palm trees every day and go to, live 30 minutes from the ocean. Absolutely, it's glorious. Having a balcony that I can be in the sun most of the time, all year round. That's glorious. But the joy that I'm talking about really is a practice of just being grateful and contentment, being able to write down all that I'm grateful for that is not predicated on money. Because I was even joyful when, I didn't have the means of living materially the life that I'm living right now, So really spending time with my kids, intentionally, with a lot of joy in my heart, because I really enjoyed being a mother. I enjoyed being home. I was actually quite upset with my first husband when he came to me and said, asked for a divorce. And I was like, but he was right, because we had grown apart. But what I was sad about, and it wasn't actually losing the relationship with him or that relationship changing. It was what I knew being a single mother was going to mean, that I wasn't going to be able to be home all the time. I was an at-home mom for 8 years. And yeah, I mourned that, I went through major grieving when I had to go out to work. So that's why I did sewing, seamstress work on the side, anything so I could be home. But, I had to go out to work, and then they had to go out to school as per our custody agreement. And so it was part of my joy practice was shifted from home to making sure that home was still on point, but that we also, when we're out in the world, we're experiencing as much joy, so I'd pick the kids up from school every day, that I would pick them up, and we would go out to play no matter what the weather, so that was part of our joy. We would go into the playground and they knew it. Yep, Mercury, they knew it. We were going to the playground to just run, jump, play hide and go seek, at the super playground. It was, just having fun, just doing, playing with the childhood games that I love, like playing with water balloons, hula hoops, blowing bubbles, water soakers, we did that. We did that on a regular. I kept hula hoops and well, I still have a hula hoop in my car that I take to the beach, but I kept hula hoops in the car, and I kept, what is it? The bubbles. I kept bubbles in the car, so at any point in time we could pull out and just, have fun. So joy practice, it's manifested a little differently, now that the kids are grown, but I still play, I make time to play and to create art. Writing is not a joyful practice for me. It's hard looking back and even hard telling about, how I'm feeling and my experiences in this moment. So I wouldn't say writing is a joy practice. Writing poems really helps to relieve a lot of stress from me. But I still can't say that it's joyful. What gives me joy is a hula hoop, blowing bubbles. That's major joy practice for me.
I think first, thank you for sharing. And it feels like you're sort of alluding to something that you do teach in yoga teacher training, which is, the ability to acknowledge and experience more than one thing at a time, right? So you can both have joy practices and you can have other practices that are equally of importance for you to experience life, like having those moments where you sit with the things that are heavier. And so before we, started today, I got my random word generator up, and the word that came up was weight. And so it feels like, now you're speaking to that there's like a weight that comes with taking kind care of yourself and of being very intentional in your practices. So, with sharing out that weight came up, I'm curious about, whether you're feeling any resonance or have any thoughts coming up around weight and all of the different things that word can mean or to bring up right now.
That's a powerful word for right now. You were speaking of your word generator. I'm an ideas generator, but also I'm an implementer. So activator, implementer. And what I feel right now, there's, as I look back, like there's been a weight on me as the founder and CEO of Yoga Roots on Location, who's working with a team of folks to make sure money's coming in, so all my folks are paid. And, assisting in the best way that I can in providing that pathway. And that's a weight for me. And so it's a weight I never wanted to carry consciously, but I think unconsciously I did, because I wanted to see how to be able to run a business that is more humane. And so now I can speak about it. Like, what are the challenges? The weight is responsibility. Like, I only wanted to be responsible for me. But we oftentimes have to create the world that we want to see, So I could talk about making sure that my folks are being paid more than a living wage, and that's important. But I can tell folks now that it's part of my practice. It's not something that's, a hypothesis, it's not imaginary, it's real. And the work and commitment that takes. The weight of my personality, I can be so impulsive. And so I know that can be untethering to other people. It's like, Felicia got a new idea. And like I woke up, and this morning I had a pretty radical idea, around the training. And so understanding that it causes some level of dis-ease for people, because it could be hard to keep up with. So the weight of me being responsible with my ideation and my process, and also recognizing that it's not my intent to put someone at dis-ease, but even though that's the impact that it can have, but still me speaking my truth. Yeah, I got to speak my truth, Mercury. I got to speak my truth. But I can't apologize for the impact that it has. So that was a weight on me even today, and weight being responsibility of, no, that wasn't my intent, but this is how it impacted, this person. And that's a beautiful space, though. I feel very mature right now in reflecting, because I spoke my truth. I didn't hold back, it came to me in that moment and I sent out a text. I was excited, one person was not excited at all. Actually, quite disappointed. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do I hold that space? Somebody being, not happy with me. And at the same time, me being happy, to speak to your point, that binary kind of thinking, that's like it's either or. No, it's not. It's all shades of gray, and just holding it all and not hold myself back either, and that's what I'm really proud of, but being able to apologize for the impact, so I don't feel as heavy as I would have years ago, with that situation, which shows me growth, that I'm still growing.
Yeah, and thank you for, sharing something that's still very much in its like, but like resonance, right? It's like happening right now. You're like, I literally just had this moment this morning,
I
and like,
know.
the realization that I could like glance back at that message of the person who sits there, and do I stew on that or do I move through it? Just that space of those really human ways that we relate with these moments, because it's something that I often share with people is that a moment like that, for example, where you're feeling a lot of joy and someone might, be feeling like they're putting the brakes on, that type of moment has likely happened in the past. And so your body is remembering all those other times that your joy was, or your excitement or your enthusiasm was met with hesitancy. And right. So it's like, we're not just holding space for the moment we're existing in right now, but we're, we may not have processed the other moments like that have happened. So sometimes we might, be over criticizing ourselves of, oh, well, we're reacting too much, we're doing this, but it's seldom about only the literal moment that we're in. It's because we haven't been equipped with the awareness or the tools to be processing all the other times that would sort of fall into that category of experience to our bodies and our nervous system and all of that. So
that's
I'm
so
holding
true.
That space that you're in it right now, and
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And as you were saying that too, Lori, I was thinking back to, memories of being a child and me bringing up an idea and being all excited, and, and it was met with, by teachers, counselors, or, I remember being really excited about going to Pitt engineering school, making application to engineering school. And my counselor, worst counselor, Miss Truschel, I think was her name, at Sacred Heart, worst counselor for me. But she basically told me that, without saying it, that girls or Black girls, aren't smart enough to go to engineering school. And I pressed over that, she didn't say those words, but that was the energy. And she didn't, really help me like I've heard other people's counselors have helped them. I didn't receive that help for her, but it helped me to navigate that whole system, and get accepted. Now, I didn't get to stay. I ended up flunking out of engineering school. And that's a whole story. But I was thinking that's what it brought up, is like, me being excited and bringing that to her about, me applying to engineering school and her not being excited about it and not willing to support me. And it's just, yes, I am definitely accessing trauma. So this is major, like, whew, like, yes, oftentimes I'm not supported, especially when it's a new idea. It's so, I was thinking back to rolling out the anti-racist training, and folks really not supporting me on it. Like, can't do that. Anti-racist and yoga, they don't go together, But look, summer of 2020 happened. We got all that work because it was a practice grounded in love, which was missing, self-love first, and then love of others, but, you know, a lot of the organizing, and this is, you know, reproductive justice as well as anti-racist organizing spaces, they were not grounded in an accountable love, kind of unconditional love relationship. So this is still very new, you know, to the social justice movement. But it was, you know, it was what my practice was grounded in over 33 years ago. You know, like this is the way. This is the ground. Anything you do needs to come from this space, you know, that practice. You know.
Yeah, and I haven't been trying to force it in, but when I shared out that the random generated word was wait, I also, you know, did the number generator to see which tools I'm providing we'd be playing with, and we got number 5, which is build versus invent. And so what that really is noticing how we're often, especially with whiteness consciousness and the way society is structured, we're told everything has to be an invention, it has to be new, nothing's rooted in anything. It's always grasping for the very next shiny thing. And the idea of build versus invent is challenging. How can we acknowledge that, yes, there's some amount of newness that needs to happen, growth needs to happen, but after a certain point, we have enough to build with, right? We have building.
Oh, it's so true.
We don't have to keep, because what happens is we end up then over exhausting ourselves trying to invent, right? We're in invention mode. Everything has to, I don't know what it is. There's nothing inside me. I have to look outward, and comparison happens, all those things. So build versus invent is this curiosity point of what tools do I already have? What legacies already exist? You know, and I know your work is really rooted in actually even being accountable with your yoga practice, of keeping it rooted into the actual legacy of yoga, that, you know, the lineage that you've been taught, and actually, you know, just as that as one example of, like, there are building blocks, like you're not creating something, right? And so, you know, like you speaking about having social justice and anti-racism through yoga and rooted in love, like all of that is, you got to a point in life where you're like, okay, I've learned what I need to learn, and it's time to build. And you know, and you think we often have to build the world you want to see. I'm just curious on if you have any thoughts about where it feels like invention still needs to happen because models don't exist very prevalently enough for a lot of people to see it. How do you already feel like you have been in that invention role so other people can now build, or any sort of anything that's coming up with that relationship between building and inventing?
Oh, that speaks to, I would say, specifically of the yoga teacher training and my vision that I wanted everyone to have, who comes through it, to have spent time thinking about how they could market themselves in a for-profit kind of space, so not a nonprofit, and really spend time, you know, and make that part of the requirement for graduation. Like, you really have to spend time with yourself thinking, how can I market myself? Because to your point, we all, like, the way oppression has us so jacked up is that we're all creative beings, just being. So it's just, you know, that's our natural state of being. But most of us are so clogged up with the external, how people have put these labels on us, how to act, what to say, when to say it, how to say it, that we don't even know, like, our own intuition is so buried under this muck and mire, if you will, like a lotus flower. You know, it's the muck and mire. Now, true, all that muck and mire that the lotus is coming through feeds it. So it's, you know, like, there's nothing is wasted. You know, matter is neither created or destroyed. That's, you know, just a physical principle. So taking the yoga teacher training and making sure that folks understood that you had to spend some time thinking about yourself, and how you can use this tool or other tools that you have to market yourself so that you can be independent. And the whole idea for me, and I think you knew it, is that everyone get free themselves from the matrix, what their matrix is, that if that's what you want. So the matrix could be a bad relationship. It could be, an unhealthy relationship. So it could be that you notice that you're non-committal and you need to make a commitment. So you get married, like a lot of babies, a lot of commitment in terms of life coming through have been made in that space. And I see that as my legacy, is reminding people of, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What is it that you bring? Because it is, you are a creative genius just in being. It's just unfortunate, Mercury, that we're living this capitalistic society. So we got to produce something, and that's why that new, something new. My training is still basically the same training that it was in 2015 when I rolled it out. It's the nucleus of it is the same, and it's really about creating spaces where people are able to really sit with and listen to who they really are, and practice sharing who they are and thinking about, and who they want to be, who they want to more fully realize. So there's nothing, I think Donny Hathaway said it, there's nothing new under the sun in a song. And Lauryn Hill repeated that line. But all we're doing is, remixing, and we're remixing our souls really so that we can learn the lessons that we came back here to learn. We really are, there is nothing new. We're repeating a lot of the same mistakes over and over, which just shows us that we just need more practice. So that creative, the new, more materialistic kind of innovative, like the technologies, it does feed the capitalistic system, and so it's a both and. We could still be very cognizant that we are, energetic beings having this human experience, and that this is not going to last long. So what kind of energy am I going to put out into the world that's going to last, that's going to be part of my legacy? And that's why we spend so much time with ourselves in the training too, so folks can just hear what is their intuition saying, because we all have it. We all have that inner yogi, that inner guide. We just have to be quiet enough or still enough or intentional enough, because not even quiet and still, for those of us who are neurodivergent, need to move around more. Like, that's real. So whatever it is, the practice that one can access to be more clear about their purpose, that's the kind of space I love to create in the yoga teacher training, so people can listen and hear themselves.
When
I think
I'm having I'm having this moment where I'm like, for one, two things. First one, my flight finished almost a year ago. I don't know what time is. It's been what would have been in December, right? Or no, before that. Has it been 2 years? Oh gosh, I don't know. Do I want to know? January.
Don't make me lie, because
I don't even know what time is. What month?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been more than a week, that I know for a fact.
Yes.
Right? It's been some amount of months, right? And so, and
right.
I remember taking the time to be like, okay, what is this business plan aspect, for graduation? And also now I'm like, oh, what ways have I been making it so hard by thinking that just because I hadn't done all of the like paperwork yet to get the like certification, like that part of it means like that I can't do anything with that plan. Like there's one energy tendril there where like, things weren't proper, like all of that. And also, and to speak to your ability to cultivate those spaces, I am realizing now, I'm just curious because you're talking about, the lotus under all the muck and whatever word you said, Merck
and Meyer.
and Meyer. Thank you. That
Yeah,
one.
Murky. Yeah.
New words to me. Thank you, Merck and Meyer.
Yeah.
That I'm curious. I'm like, instead of me still thinking, I don't know what my purpose is, if the word languaging that came to me as I started having, my embodiment practices, during and then after yoga teacher training, came through, of being a shit shifter and an awareness activator, and really like what that means, and what it feels like it means is helping people shift through that shit, all the muck and all the murk and myrrh of where do I even start? What even is what I'm experiencing? Which things don't have to stay, which things are actually me and aren't, and just all that. And so, and noting like the words don't feel like they're coming out that gracefully right now, but there was that feeling in the moment of like, you do know this, you're just keep trying to quote, quote, figure it out, because that keeps you in the place where then you don't have to actually allow yourself to just be in that, that positioning, and then be serving through that lens. So I'm taking this as a moment to, ask where am I still trying to invent where I've been ready to build, and so, calling myself back in there too of like those. So for me, it's feeling like the weight of this outdated story of I still have to figure it out or I have to do everything by myself. Is outdated. Yeah, please do.
That's so outdated. I think that's so individualistic. And it's not how we're wired as humans though, Lori. That's the thing. Like we are wired to be social beings, right? So the thing is you may not be able to figure it out by yourself. You may have to be in community, right? So being in community and sharing where you are, and then asking people for reflection, reflect back to me what you see in me, because maybe you see something in me that I don't see.
All right, well, I'm going to interrupt you now, Miss Felicia. What do you see in me?
Yeah, well, you know what you're supposed to do. What comes easy to you? Right, Mercury. What comes easy to you?
Hyping up other people, being in space, and really like being able to, it's this feeling of kaleidoscoping, right? Of just sort of lightly shifting what you're able to perceive and be aware of. And then these like transformer moments where you're like, doo, 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 and then you like feel the shifty, like the shift happening.
And you're a phenomenal narrator of that. Like you're a storyteller. Right, Mercury, I told you. Yeah, you're a storyteller. And so like the way you tell stories is such a gift. Like the way that you could tell us, and you did this many times, and it could be a pretty traumatizing event, but the way you're able to bring in humor and tell that story, which gives other people permission to tell their story, and like that to me is such a gift. And you do that without thinking.
And that's where I feel like the weight of things gets me stuck, is because my brain gets hyperfixated with my ADHD, hyperfixates on, well, how do I do this? Like what tools do, like what software, what microphone, like it fixates on the things that really don't matter at all.
And you know what? I understand that. And that's where you have to just press yourself and you just do it, right?
Just do it, yeah.
And I liken it to when I got married the first time. My wedding dress, I made my wedding dress because I'm a seamstress. Phenomenal seamstress, actually. Haven't sewn in 25 years. I walked down the aisle and I was still unfinished with my wedding dress. No one knew it but me. No one would know it if they looked at it but me. but it was ready. It wasn't my kind of ready. Yoga teacher training. I signed up. I added the yoga teacher training and I paid for it. And I went negative in my bank account in 2016 when I, what was it, 2015, when I made it a school and put the, 2015, I was negative in my bank account. Nobody knew. The person at Yoga Alliance not the person who read through my syllabus, but the person, like one of the admin folks, I was telling them about my training in 2015. He said, if I was in Pittsburgh, I would take your training. He said, it sounds so good. And he's like reading through it. This is just wonderful. And that's before, any talk of, by mainstream yoga, folks here in the West were talking about social justice in yoga. I still wasn't finished with this syllabus, but I submitted it. I got enough finished so I could just do it. No, I didn't have enough money. I was probably one of the most certified yogis in the city. I knew that. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm not asking anybody's permission. We're just doing this, And so part of it is just putting ourselves out there. I was shocked at how many people signed up, like, I was like, nobody's going to go because white folks ain't going to sign up because they don't want to be called white folks. And, no, they don't want to talk about racism, and the Black folks and brown folks who are trying to protect the white folks, they ain't trying to associate with me because like Felicia going to call us all out, It's like, I was amazed that over 30 people signed up. I'm like, for real? You got to be kidding me, so we got to just be brave and put ourselves out there. And I'm a teacher. I'm a trainer. That's what I've been teaching, Lori, since I was a little girl. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. And teaching in school, in Pittsburgh Public School, was not going to give me joy like me having my own school where I'm able to write the curriculum. I'm able to teach the way I want. Oh, this is liberation. Absolutely. It's not easy, being brave and courageous, because in this way, because the curriculum comes from my pain, me navigating pain and trauma. I was like, who wants to talk about that? I don't want to talk about this, but I understand me talking about it continues to free myself, as well as give other people permission to free themselves.
And as you're literally shifting, then what you're doing is removing that energetic clutter and starting to actually say which things can just be shifted, which can be let go, knowing that there'll be moments where it comes back, right? Can there just be this sort of offboarding? And in that process too, I think that, we get to reconnect with what our actual story is. And that's where I feel like I am in life, of realizing for so long, I've only been telling other people's story or living life through the lens of what story sort of like took shape when I was younger, with traumas and things in childhood. And then, realizing that while I've been naming that and integrating that for 3-4 years now, I'm at this point now, it's like, oh wait, no, there is time. It's time now to invent in terms of actually getting back to like, what is my actual story? And, and having you share about the liberation comes in actually asking yourself what life you want to live and dreaming beyond what sort of scope reality tells you that can exist within. So, I'm realizing, that I think that I've thought about, what would I really want an ideal day to look like? But that's been limited by what my obligations and access is right now. And so I'm like curious about, taking time to actually dream beyond what makes sense or what seems accessible right now.
And that's so important. That's why the imagination is crucial, because, me knowing that I was going to go negative on my account when I put that deposit down, it's like, this is, yeah, this is me dreaming. Now, it's true, there's something practical about this. You know, I knew money was going to be coming in that week. So I could run and catch it at the bank, so to speak. But I had to press myself about that because I was like, it's never going to be a right time, Felicia. It's never going to be a right time. There's always going to be something else that comes up that makes it inconvenient. So no, I had hosted several yoga teacher trainings, like 2-day trainings through National Exercise Training Association. And I was like, you know, I can do this. I'm a teacher. This makes sense for you to do this. Like, and I want to have the curriculum be as complete as I know that, you know, I feel it needs to be, you know, and it's like, yeah, I had to do it. Yeah, I was compelled. I had to do it, Lori. And my kids were older, you know, so that's 2015. So Cleveland had already graduated from high school. Maya had graduated. Yeah, 2016. Yeah, she had been, I mean, not high school, college. They both had graduated from college. But still, I felt I had to leave a legacy of them seeing me pursuing my dreams, you know, as adults. I had to, like, if there's one thing that they've learned from me is to go after what you really want. You know, what makes you happy. They've seen me leave many jobs, you know, throughout their lifetime and time with me. It's like, you know, I'm not going to stay at this, you know, or accept a job with the plan of leaving, you know, like, because this is just a step, you know, and Maya wanted me to just, you know, work corporate jobs so I can make that money. And we, you know, our life wasn't so up and down. She was like, it was just so inconsistent, you know, working as a contractor, you get these big contracts that comes in, you know, these windfall, and then there's, you know, months of, months of, like, I don't want to call it famine because it really wasn't, but there's less and lack, you know, but yeah, I've grown 2 kids who understand that though, you know, go after your dreams, go after what you want, what really makes you happy. Don't be chasing that dollar, you know, staying true to yourself, whatever that means, you know, and that's a blessed testimony, I feel, you know.
I'm seeing this visualization of like when you're trying to catch fireflies, right? And you know, when you first go around, you're like chasing with the jar and you're like, why can't I get it? And then, you know, there's that realization where when you just have the container there, they'll come to you. And it's almost like this, by sort of having the jar as chasing your dreams, right? But realizing that that you can, like you said, take a job with the intention of leaving it, right? You can allow there to be the things that sustain that, because it feels like chasing your dreams, living your dreams is a whole ass full life experience, right? Because your dreams can also shift and change. And so how can there be, you know, that? And we were talking before I started recording about seasonality and cycles, and, you know, just there's times where it's like there is the juice to go, or there is that inner compelling energy, your intuition, like, you know, in your case, starting the school, you know, saying, you know, now is the time for this first flight, you know, to literally take flight. And so being able to take those steps for that. Yeah, so I'm just feeling that sort of, you know, you mentioned the matrix earlier, but the layers there where it's like, you know, by doing the work, then that means you're able to have the capacity to know when it's time to make a decision from a place that isn't your mind, and not acknowledging our minds keep us safe and they're doing their job. And also, you know, there's some things where you're able to have the space where you're speaking your body, you're able to have the microphone and be heard loudly enough where you're like, cool mind, I hear you. And also what else is coming through, what feels like the next right step, and I think that's something that you really do create the space for in your teacher training, right? Because it's almost like how to human intentionally training through the lens of embodied anti-racist Raja yoga.
Yes. I like that. Oh, Mercury is doing this hand dance. Oops, I almost dropped my laptop. Not cool. It was so cute. Oh my God.
She started waving 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now her like whole world of
It's just
her
like
arms is,
her hands. She's really
there's a little baby groundhog outside the window. I'm wondering if she could see that through the blinds that are open.
Right. Oh,
She also
my
barks at the groundhogs when the dogs bark at it. So
right.
so she has her own bark. So
oh my God.
so you got your story to tell.
Oh,
Felicia, I want to be mindful of time. I have no idea. I forgot to check when we started what time you needed to go.
yes. Let me see. Where's my schedule? Oh yeah, I got to do an observation.
Right. So I wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to share out any details about yoga teacher training, because this episode will go out in a couple of days. Just got to get out. So that way, if you would like to welcome, if you're at the space or capacity to welcome any more people. And also, I am inviting and calling upon anyone who hears this to donate to offset tuition, because one of the ways that you are both inventing and building simultaneously is by creating scholarship options for people, so cost is not a barrier to attending class. So any of your contributions goes to support scholarships, and so that will all be linked in the show notes.
Thank you.
So what would people's scholarship be going towards? What will people be experiencing in yoga teacher training?
In the yoga teacher training, oh my gosh, they'll experience, as per our Yoga Alliance agreement, us being a Yoga Alliance certified school, that you'll have 200 hours of in-class time with us on Zoom, and it's all virtual. This is the first training that's all virtual. This flight, yoga teacher training number 5, and we'll start in August and go in for 13 months, I think it is, 12, 13 months. That's a shame. And they'll experience the 8-limb path of Raja Yoga. I'm excited this is the first flight that I am co-facilitating. So Sheba Gittins will be co-facilitating this training with me, and we have co-facilitated the ideation yet again of our syllabus. Again, it's the basic syllabus. But we've co-created this space together, and I'm really excited for us. I'm more prepared now, like with our syllabus, our plan, down to the minutia. Folks will really have a diverse offering of social justice areas. So disabilities justice with Dustin Gibson. We'll be doing reproductive justice with Becca Zala, Mguni. I'm really excited to have artists come and participate. This is really, it'll be a stellar lineup. As a matter of fact, it's so exciting. I want to take my own training yet again. That's what I said. I only want to create trainings that I want to do myself. And we'll go from Friday night, so 3 hours Friday, 5 hours, I believe, 5 or 6 hours on Saturday and Sunday. And we shifted it on Saturday and Sunday to 12 to 6 so that we can accommodate people on the West Coast. I'm hoping we get, some of our Seattle folks who were interested in me doing the training there pre-COVID. So really spending time with the Yoga Sutras, honoring each limb of the Raja Yoga practice, as well as yogaanatomy.net. We'll learn Hatha Yoga, the connection between anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and the Raja Yoga practice. They'll also be able to experience numerology and astrology. I've been into astrology for over 35 years. Numerology is a newer practice, I guess, in the last 15 years. And yeah, to be able to pour into people's lives so that they remember who they are and what their purpose is just, oh, it's phenomenal. Also with Strength Finder, their 5 top strengths. A lot of people are familiar with it, but just to be able to sit with it more, and have reflection time, universal meditation time, in addition to the asana, the movements, as well as pranayama, the breathing techniques. But this is a training that really is about creating community in this virtual space, which, I was one of the naysayers, like, no, we got to wait to get back in person. Like, no, this can really happen and we can be effective. So yeah, that's some of it, some of the training. Lori, thank you. We are offering scholarships, as Lori, has shared, because we don't want finances to be a barrier, and we don't want people to have to be humiliated with sharing an amount that they're not able to really honor. So we really encourage honesty around finances. So we ask you to share what you are able to contribute, and then we take you at your word. It's it's a wonderful way to practice being honest. And we've been offered scholarship monies through the Emmons Bradley Foundation since our first training. So they're offering opportunities to offer scholarships again. And also we have a new working relationship, a fiduciary relationship with New Sun Rising. So we're able to receive monies through them, as well as our Patreon account. So in terms of scholarships, if you want to share any monies with us that could go to scholarships for our folks, because we want people there who want to be there, and them being there shouldn't be predicated on their bank account, because as we all know, oppression has affected us all, and the economic injustices that have been suffered by so many Black and brown and poor white folk is not a reason why people should not be in the space. So we make it possible, and I'm delighted to make it possible.
And as someone who was able to attend and graduate from cohort 4 because of scholarships,
yes,
that the ability to donate any amount actually really does mean something, right? It's not this nebulous thing where it's like, you're donating into the abyss, right? It directly goes into change and ripples, because each person that goes through a cohort is going to then have their own ecosystem that they're rippling through change.
Right.
So I am super biased. I do not make that like unclear at all. If you're able to support or circulate this with anyone, please do, and all of that information will be shared. And so, Felicia, I like to embrace that I don't know how to end things. So I usually have people do something silly or weird. So what came up for me is, it actually didn't come up in this conversation, which might be a first with Felicia, the topic of poop, right? We talked about it before we started recording, but I would like for you to share out what sound you would like your dream toilet to make as you flush. If it could be any sound, what would the flush
I love
sound?
that. Oh,
that was like the most Felicia question I could think of right now.
Oh, I would like it to sound like a bubbling brook.
Ooh.
Real small bubbling brook. Like
not like a
right.
like,
Like, bloop, 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 bloop.
Oh,
I want
great.
that bubbly, and I don't think I'm giving this sound that I really, but like a bubbling brook, like just
Yeah.
that, it's almost like gentle popcorn,
Oh, yeah.
like there's, yeah, a bubbling brook. That's what I would, oh, my dream toilet. I
Well,
love that,
I
Lori.
love that for
You-
you, and I'm just imagining and assuming that that will exist one day. It just has to, right?
Yes, what would you like yours to be?
Oh, okay. The very first thing that came up was whoop, there it is. Like, just having a little celebration party and just,
I love that. That is
yeah. I will credit Mercury's fondness for 90s dance music, as that's probably why I was in my heart, because we've been singing and dancing that a lot lately. So right now, that is my answer today.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, as you're dancing, yeah, whoop, there it is. Do you want a Tootsie Roll? It ain't the butterfly, it's a Tootsie Roll. You gonna go? She said, I'm on your shoulders. Oh, there you go. Yep, there she goes. Bye. Yeah. Well, Felicia, as always, I just so value being in relationship with you, and I appreciate you being here with us today. And if you have any other words, I will let you share those as well. But I'm trying to be conscious of time, and
yes, I have to
transition to.
I need to honor it, and yeah, I would say I really appreciate you asking these questions and it not being scripted, because that's hard for me. So I really appreciate it being so free form, and just like we're sitting at the kitchen table having a conversation, like I love this kind of format. I always learn more about myself in being with you, and then with you and Mercury, it's just, this is icing, like this is a beautiful way to share. So thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And for the opportunity to even think through more, some things that were happening today for me. So thank you for this opportunity.
You are so welcome, and we love you very much.
Love you.
Have a gently grand rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Enjoy. Bye, Mercury. Bye, Lori.
Bye, Maya and Martin.
Oh, I'll tell them too.
All right. Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Yep. See you soon, babe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, have a razzle-dazzle day, and if that's not accessible, put an F on front and have a frazzle-dazzle day.